Jim Tom Hedrick from Moonshiners is dead at age 82 from kidney cancer. The news broke earlier today with a statement from Sugarlands Distilling Company via its Facebook page. It's with heavy hearts we say goodbye to our dear friend Marvin Jim Tom Hedrick. Born Christmas Day, 1940, Jim Tom dedicated much of his life to the art of moonshining. Becoming a legend in Appalachia along the way, began the lengthy statement. The message discussed Jim Tom's part in the Discovery show Moonshiners. Jim Tom's well-earned reputation as one of the most skilled moonshiners in the South earned him a role on the hit television program Moonshiners, where his colorful personality endeared Jim Tom to the hearts of millions. Read the statement. Jim Tom Hedrick was one of the first veteran moonshiners to truly embrace Sugarlands when we opened our doors. Gaining the stamp of approval from Jim Tom was instrumental in shaping the authenticity of Sugarlands, and we're forever indebted to his support and friendship. The message stated before asking people to raise a jar for Jim Tom. According to TMZ, Jim Tom passed away Wednesday morning in Robbinsville, North Carolina. Multiple sources told the outlet that Jim had been battling kidney cancer for quite a while and that Jim had been on dialysis. In 2012, Jim Tom joined Season 2 of Moonshiners and stayed a series regular until Season 6 wrapped in 2017. The Discovery series follows the lives of several people who produced illegal moonshine in the Appalachian Mountains of Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. Moonshiners focuses on how the moonshine is made and how they get around the law to keep making it. However, the show has been called out over the years, with authorities in Virginia insisting there are no illegal distillers in the state being produced by those featured on Moonshiners. If illegal activity was actually taking place, the Virginia ABC Bureau of Law Enforcement would have taken action. Virginia Department Alcoholic Beverage Control spokeswoman Kathleen Shaw told Today in 2011 after Moonshiners premiered. Today, Moonshiners lost one of their own with the passing of Jim Tom Hedrick from kidney cancer. Moonshiners is currently on hiatus on Discovery. Jim Tom Hedrick, a beloved figure from the popular TV show Moonshiners, passed away at the age of 82 after a courageous battle with kidney cancer. Known for his quiet charm, rugged demeanor, and deep knowledge of the art of moonshining, Jim Tom's legacy will be remembered by both fans of the show and those who appreciated his contributions to an ancient American craft. He was more than just a TV personality. He was a living testament to the traditions of Appalachian moonshine, a man who kept the spirit of the hills alive. Born and raised in the Appalachian foothills, Jim Tom Hedrick's life was steeped in the culture and lore of moonshining. The son of a moonshiner, Jim Tom learned the trade at an early age, soaking in the wisdom passed down from generations before him. His grandfather and father were both deeply involved in the illicit craft, a tradition that has existed for centuries in these remote, mountainous regions of the United States. In these hills, where lawmen rarely ventured, families like Jim Tom's made a living by producing homemade spirits, often illegal, but a necessity in an area where economic opportunities were scarce. Moonshining, however, was more than just a business to Jim Tom. It was a way of life, a connection to his heritage, and an enduring link to the land he called home. The rituals of distilling and the camaraderie of working with others in the moonshining community formed a central part of Jim Tom's identity. He didn't just make alcohol. He crafted a piece of history, preserving traditions that many thought had faded into the past. His involvement in Moonshiners, a reality TV show that debuted on Discovery Channel in 2011, was initially a way for Jim Tom to share his expertise with a larger audience. He never expected the overwhelming popularity that would follow. Jim Tom quickly became a fan favorite for his dry humor, folksy wisdom, and no-nonsense approach to distilling. He was the type of man who could teach you how to build a still from scratch and tell you stories about the past all in the same breath, with a twinkle in his eye and a slow southern drawl that made even the most mundane tasks seem fascinating. But beyond his personality, Jim Tom represented something that few people alive today could claim: a direct connection to an underground culture that had been, for decades, both outlawed and romanticized. As the show's audience grew, so did the interest in Jim Tom's particular brand of moonshine: strong, simple, and steeped in tradition. For Jim Tom, the show was never about fame or fortune. It was about respect for the craft and keeping it alive for future generations. He was adamant about showing the world that moonshining for families who had few other ways to make a living in the economically depressed region. His death from kidney cancer has left a hole in the hearts of those who followed his life's work, but it is also a reminder of just how important he was in preserving a fading part of American history. Kidney cancer, often a silent disease with few early symptoms, took Jim Tom swiftly, and despite undergoing treatment, he was unable to overcome the illness. His passing has left a void that fans and friends alike are still grappling with, but it has also prompted an outpouring of tributes from those who loved and admired him. Jim Tom's influence went far beyond the realm of television. He inspired countless people to reconnect with their roots, learn the art of distilling, and cherish the land and traditions that had been handed down through generations. He was often seen as a bridge between the past and the present, a man who understood the importance of honoring one's ancestors while adapting to the modern world. Whether he was on camera or off, Jim Tom was the same person: humble, wise, and deeply grounded in the principles of hard work, family, and tradition. One of Jim Tom's most endearing qualities was his refusal to let fame change him. Despite his newfound celebrity status, he remained the same quiet, hard-working man who had spent decades distilling moonshine in the Appalachian Hills. He wasn't interested in the limelight or the money that came with it. What mattered to him was the continuation of the craft he loved and the preservation of the stories that came with it. In an age where reality TV often blurs the line between fiction and reality, Jim Tom was a breath of fresh air, a man who was as authentic as they come. Fans of Moonshiners will undoubtedly remember Jim Tom's famous quotes and stories, the ones where he would break down complex distilling techniques with a level of simplicity that made them accessible to anyone. His advice wasn't just about making moonshine, it was about life itself. Jim Tom had a way of making every moment seem important, whether he was talking about his stills or reflecting on the passage of time. "You've got to let things work out on their own," he would often say, a phrase that resonated with viewers who had watched him build a still from scratch or patiently wait for his mash to ferment. But Jim Tom's legacy isn't just about the words he spoke or the craft he honed. It's about the relationships he built along the way. His camaraderie with fellow moonshiners, many of whom were his lifelong friends, was one of the most compelling aspects of the show. The audience could see the bond between Jim Tom and his fellow distillers, a bond built on years of shared experiences and mutual respect. Whether he was working with Tim Smith, Tickle, or any of the other characters on the show, Jim Tom was always the steady hand, the voice of reason in a world that could sometimes be unpredictable and dangerous. In a way, Jim Tom's death marks the end of an era. While moonshining has evolved over the years, with modern-day distillers sometimes using new technology and techniques, there is something irreplaceable about the old-school methods that Jim Tom embodied. He was a master of the craft, a man who could take the simplest ingredients and turn them into something extraordinary. His death serves as a reminder that the knowledge he carried is becoming rarer with each passing year. The art of moonshining, once a vital part of Appalachian life, is slowly being lost to time, and Jim Tom was one of the last living links to that tradition. Still, Jim Tom would likely be the first to remind us that moonshine isn't about the end product, it's about the journey. The long hours spent tending to the still, the camaraderie shared with friends, and the satisfaction of creating something with your own hands. Jim Tom's life was an embodiment of that journey, and his legacy will live on in the stories told by those who knew him, and in the generations who continue to make moonshine, inspired by his example. His death has left a void that will be hard to fill. The moonshining community has lost one of its true icons, and Moonshiners fans have lost a beloved figure. But Jim Tom's impact goes beyond television or moonshine. He was a reminder of the importance of tradition, the power of storytelling, and the value of staying true to oneself. His passing marks the end of an era, but his legacy will continue to shine brightly in the hills of Appalachia and beyond. As we remember Jim Tom Hedrick, we can take solace in the fact that his legacy lives on. The stills he built, the wisdom he shared, and the stories he told will continue to inspire those who seek to honor the past while embracing the future. Jim Tom may be gone, but the spirit of the craft he so loved will endure, forever etched in the hearts of those who had the privilege of knowing him, watching him, and learning from him. Rest in peace, Jim Tom.